Hey Internet, I had a couple of mailbox requests from people. They were wanting to know about weight loss and working out and stuff, so I just figured I'd put something on here, and anybody who wants to watch it can watch it. If you don't want to, that's cool too. Got nothing but love for you. Anyway, when it comes to weight loss itself, I've learned a couple of things over this last year and 8 months or so since I started really trying to get more fit, and learned about eating clean, which really is a lot more simple than I ever thought it would be. That's really just going to the grocery store, trying to shop on the perimeter of the grocery store, staying away from that processed stuff on the inside, and getting vegetables, fruits, nuts, lean meats, eggs. I eat cheese, and again, just kind of staying away from the processed stuff as much as possible. I do get canned tuna and some canned chicken every now and then because I eat a lot of chicken salad, tuna salad, and mix a lot of avocado in with that kind of stuff. A typical meal in the morning might be eggs and some turkey sausage and a little bit of cheese, and maybe some onions and peppers in a skillet kind of mixed up. And then a couple hours later, I'll have like a Quest protein bar or maybe a protein drink. And then for lunch, a lot of times I'll go, there's this place next to work that has a hibachi grill, and I'll have some pork or chicken and onions and peppers and maybe a little bit of soy sauce and stuff mixed up on that hibachi grill. Eat that, or sometimes I'll find a salad or something like that at work. And then a couple hours later, usually another protein bar, protein shake, or something like that. And then when I get home, I'll have a creatine, glass of creatine powder mixed up, or maybe some protein or some branched chain amino acid mix. A lot of supplements, and then go work out and come home, and then the wife's usually cooking something like turkey burgers with feta cheese and spinach, mushrooms, and onions and stuff in them. Things are fantastic. We use spaghetti squash as pasta, and she makes a mean Mexican pasta dish too, Mexican spaghetti, which is completely awesome. And we do a lot of crock pot stuff. And then if I get hungry at night, I'll either make a protein shake in a blender, or sometimes I'll have Halo Top ice cream, or sometimes I'll take like a low-fat whipped cream, the kind in the bowls and stuff, and put that over some fruit and maybe sprinkle some cocoa almonds or something like that on there. So I eat a pretty high volume of food throughout the day, but I also make sure that I get a workout in at least 6 days a week, and sometimes 7. Now, when it comes to the working out part, it's really not as hard as you think, and it doesn't have to cost as much as you would think it would either. I struggled in the past with going to gyms and stuff and having your traditional chest day and back day, arm day, leg day kind of thing, and keeping that kind of regimen going for a sustained period of time. And with what I do now with CrossFit, it's constantly varied, and it's always different, and you're doing different things, and you don't need to have gym equipment to do it. You can do stuff around with things around the house. If it has some weight to it and it can be moved from point A to point B, you can get a workout in. And some workouts don't even require any weight at all, which is pretty awesome. If you were to Google body weight WODs, that's WODS, it's amazing the kind of workout you can get in within about 15 minutes. And it doesn't cost you a dime. And I would challenge anybody to not be able to find 15 minutes to do something. If you're honest with yourself, you can find it, or you can make time, typically. But I can't speak for everybody. Don't want to paint with too broad of a brush there. But it all starts with being honest with yourself. And in my case, I was at 365 pounds and went on a hike with my family and some friends, and I knew going down this trail that I was going to have a hard time getting back up it. Matter of fact, before we even went, I was doing everything I could to talk myself out of going, but the family was really looking forward to it, so I went and coming up this trail, which was about a little over a mile, but it was pretty steep. It's not the easiest hike in the world by any stretch of the imagination, but it was rough. I mean, I was praying during it and making deals with God. I was like, hey, if you get me off this trail, I promise I will do something about this. So I finally get up to the top of this thing, and I mean, I am winded and just a sweaty mess. And I get to the back of the car, and I kind of collapse down behind it. And this hippie, who probably already walked about 15 miles that day, comes up and gives me his last Gatorade and says, here, brother, you need this more than me. And while I was drinking that guy's Gatorade, it just hit me like a ton of bricks. I was like, this is what I've let myself become. I can't even go on a simple hike with my family and enjoy it. And all the excuses that I made over the past couple years when I had ballooned up to that big weight and got so out of shape that I couldn't do the things I wanted to do and was always making excuses to get out of them and everything, it just hit me. I got to do something about this, or I'm not going to be around for these people. And I thought about how selfish my decisions had been leading up to that. I mean, really, I would go to McDonald's to get them something in the morning, and I would get like a sausage egg biscuit, eat it there, and then get another one and have it put in the bag with their stuff to bring it home and act like, that was my only sausage egg biscuit that I ate when I would eat with them when I got back to the house. And kind of embarrassing when you went to people's houses or went out to eat and stuff. It's like you got this feeling like, what's the fat guy eating now? And just not a fun situation at all to be in. And I'm sad that I let myself get to that point, and that I knew I wasn't comfortable with myself and how I was living. But I'm thankful that I finally was honest with myself that I needed to make some changes and actually followed through with it. On the way home from that hike, I said, I'm going to do something about this. And I'm certain the family was kind of like, oh yeah, we've heard that before. But I did. And went to CrossFit gym the next day. Luckily, we have a wonderful neighbor by the name of Tammy who works at Lifestyles in Johnson City. And inside there is a place called CrossFit East 10. And when I first walked in, these people were doing stuff that I couldn't imagine doing. And I about turned around and walked out. But one of the guys there caught me, the guy that runs the place. His name's Rob. And he's like, no, you can't do that now, but maybe in 6 months or a year you can. Give us a chance, because it's scalable down to anybody. Your grandma can do this stuff. And he's right. I see grandmothers in there doing this stuff. But I started off, believe me, it was humbling. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't run a quarter mile. I would have to walk most of it. I was scaled back to as far as scaled could go, where people were jumping up on these 30-inch boxes and stuff. I had this little step that was about maybe 8 inches. And I was last on the board for forever. But after a few months, you just start creeping up on that leaderboard and everything. And I needed that continuous competition against myself and to see where I was against other people to really get a feel for how I was progressing and everything. And then you make friends in there and everything else, and they hold you accountable. And if you're not there one day, you might get a message from them saying, hey, where you at? That's what it's all about when they talk about community in the CrossFit world. But then I realized that on days where I'm not there, I can do stuff at home and slowly amassed a nice little garage gym. And I do stuff at home on occasion too, sometimes in addition to what I do at the gym. Sometimes I just can't get to the gym, so I get to come up with my own programming right at the house. And it's so cool what you can come up with. Like today, I knew I wasn't going to be able to get to one of the actual classes where they had, their class programming and stuff like that. So I drew one up. It was 15 minutes, 135 pounds on a barbell. So it was bench press 15 reps, and then 15 sit-ups, and then 100 jump rope. That made a round. And I did as many reps and rounds as possible within that 15-minute period. And you break a good sweat, get a good workout, but it's over. You warm up for about 5-10 minutes, do your workout, stretch out a little bit, done. Sometimes we're done. Sometimes the hard work aspect only takes 5 to 10 minutes. But you worked out if you put something into it. So anyway, time the time part of it, because it's so easy to make that the number one excuse. So I don't have time to do this. If you do some research and find things that work for you, you can get things in, and like I say, 10 to 15, 20 minutes on average. And if we're honest with ourselves, we can make that in the course of our day. And going back to being honest with ourselves, first thing we have to do is make a decision that we're going to eat right, and that we're going to start a fitness routine. And it's humbling to look in the mirror and say, yeah, I think I'm a good man, but the way I'm living, I'm not going to be a good man for long. I was diabetic, had to take metformin, and I had high blood pressure, high cholesterol, all that, and I was taking pills for most of it, and I don't have to take any pills for any of that stuff now. And just simple diet and exercise was all that needed to change there. But again, it's that whole wake-up moment, and I hope that more people have it, because I just keep seeing more and more people losing mobility. And in this world where we're increasingly sitting at desks and things like that for a large portion of our day, we have to make time to do it. Speaking of, one of the things that I do, I make sure that I keep resistance bands in other rooms of the house and at my desk at work, and one of those things that you squeeze with your hand for forearms and stuff. And I'll just do that. I'm sure people look at me and probably think I'm a little bit of a moron doing it at work and stuff, but anything that you're doing with resistance is functional fitness. And a lot of people like to start with walking, Fitbits and stuff like that. Start off walking 10,000 steps a day, or 15,000 steps, but use that as a lead in, because you have to have some resistance training in order to get the most out of your body, or you're just developing your cardiovascular system and not your muscular. You're not developing muscles, which are going to be this thing that continuously burns fat and will allow you to eat more. So if you have those cheat days and stuff, you're less likely to put that weight right back on. And whatever route people choose and stuff, just got to stick with it. But anyway, the main thing I do is eat clean. Again, that's vegetables, fruits, nuts, lean meats, and kind of laying off the breads. I don't eliminate carbs, but I do limit carbs. I try to stay below 60 grams. And when I first started, it was around 20 to 30. And that was a little bit tough at first, because I know a lot of people out there like bread and potatoes and pasta. And believe me when I say I'm no different. I long for that stuff on occasion, but there are substitutes out there like the spaghetti squash and romaine lettuce hearts as wraps and stuff, that after you get used to them, man, they're good. And I do have a little bit of a vice with diet sodas, but you gotta give up the sugary soda if you're a Coke or a Pepsi or a Mountain Dew person. And maybe the diet way, which isn't very good for you either, I get that, but at least you're not ingesting a third of a bottle of sugar every time that you have one. And then there's that other thing, smoking. I was a 20-year smoker. It's one of the hardest things to give up, but we all know that it's one of the most deadly things, and there's no quicker way to the grave than that. And even if you got to find a different way to get your nicotine, like I use these things called snus, and I know that something that you put in your mouth can cause mouth cancer and stuff like that, just like cigarettes can cause lung cancer, but it's about the least likely to cause any kind of health issues. And I like my occasional nicotine, so I have my vices still, and I got a lot of work to do yet to be completely fit, but at least I got things heading in the right direction. Right now I weigh 225. Again, I work out at least 6 days a week, and even do the occasional local competitions and stuff like that. I have one coming up this Saturday, which should be fun. And just to be able to get in a room with people who I know are incredibly fit or half my age, and be able to keep up with them most of the time, I consider quite an accomplishment. I would rather peak in my 40s and 50s during my parenting years than be able to go back and have this level of strength and fitness at 18 or in my high school years, because people depend on me now. And I love being able to hold my own when it comes to being functional. And it helps me with my energy at work, helps me get things done around the house. It helps me stay the alpha male. I mean, I got a badass stepson who just is heading into his junior year of wrestling and ranked 6th in the state. And kid's strong, man. He wants to wrestle around or something like that. He'd be beating the out of shape version of me. He's got his hands full with this version though. And then I got a beautiful stepdaughter who, let's face it, when the boyfriends come over, it's tank top time. Big arms are a deterrent. I'm kind of kidding there, kind of. And then I got a lovely wife who started not too long ago doing CrossFit. And now she beats me in some of these workouts. And she went from hope she doesn't kill me for saying this, and I hope I get it right, a size, she said the best way to explain it is going from a size 12 to a size 8 or a 6, depending on the brand of clothes. So anyway, she looks fantastic and is progressing just incredibly well in what she's doing. So we got a pretty fit family all around, and if I'm going to be the leader of the house, I got to make sure that functionally I can do that. So anyway, eating clean, working out, and working out doesn't have to be expensive. You can do things with the stuff around the house. Look up body weight WODs online. Simple things like air squats and stuff during commercials can make a ton of difference, but got to eat right, can't smoke, lay off the sodas, and try and get moving. That's the key. If you have your mobility, you can get in shape, and then hopefully once you start seeing results and everything, you stay in it, because we all regress from time to time. And I look at it almost like alcoholism. If I fall off the bus, it's not going to be pretty. But fortunately, I got a good support system, good people around me, and I don't see that happening anytime soon, God willing. But I've just kind of fallen in love with fitness and eating right, and it's enhanced my relationships at home, at work, and all the way around. So anyway, there's my answer to those of you who have sent things to my inbox. And if you have any questions or anything, feel free to shoot me a message or drop me a line. I'll be happy to work out with anybody, show you some of the things that I do, and just hope everybody finds good health heading into the holidays and the new year. So love you all. God bless.